Ethan Marsh had survived deployments, debt, and the particular devastation of watching someone he loved disappear slowly before disappearing completely, and none of it had prepared him for the Tuesday evening he found himself standing in his boss's hotel suite holding a zipper and running out of professional distance to hide behind. He was 37, a logistics coordinator at Sterling Events Group in Houston, a company that produced high-end corporate galas and private functions for clients whose budgets removed most of the usual constraints of event planning and replaced them with a different and more exacting set of pressures. He had been with the company for 4 years, having come to it from a period of post-military reconstruction that he did not discuss in detail and that had eventually resolved itself into something stable, which was all he had asked of it. His son Noah was 9, currently at home with Adrian's sister, which was the arrangement that covered the late nights this job occasionally required. Noah was the fixed center of everything Ethan built his days around, a small, serious boy who collected weather data in a notebook he kept on his nightstand and who had recently decided that meteorology was probably his life's work, which Ethan supported with the complete investment he brought to everything Noah decided was important. Noah's mother had been gone for 5 years, not to death but to a series of choices that had taken her progressively further from them both until the distance became permanent. Ethan had accepted this with the practical grief of someone who understands that you cannot make a person choose what they cannot choose, and he had built their life accordingly, solid, consistent, sufficient in every way that mattered, and honest about the ways it wasn't. His boss was Vivian Sterling, founder and CEO of Sterling Events Group, 46 years old, the most operationally precise person Ethan had ever worked for, and someone he respected with the specific, uncomplicated respect you reserve for people who are genuinely excellent at what they do and know why it matters. She was demanding and fair and occasionally intimidating in the way of people who set high standards not from vanity but from conviction, and she had given Ethan his first real chance in civilian professional life when his resume suggested he might be a project and she had decided he was actually an asset. She had been engaged for 6 months. The man's name was Griffin Cole. An investment banker, significant income, the kind of surface presentation that filled rooms well and that Ethan had observed without comment for the 6 months he'd been watching Vivian organize her personal life around someone who, in Ethan's professional assessment, did not show up with the same consistency he brought to his own appearance. Tonight was the Sterling Events annual Showcase Gala, the firm's most significant event of the year, a showcase for prospective clients and a celebration for existing ones. 300 guests, 18 months of planning converging into a single evening at the Alderton Grand Hotel. Ethan had been managing the production side for 7 months. He had arrived at 4 in the afternoon. It was now 6:40 and the gala began at 8 and everything was on track with the specific controlled tension of a well-run machine at operational peak. He was reviewing the final audio check with the technical director when Vivian's personal assistant Maya found him with the expression that assistants wear when they are the messenger of something they wish they weren't carrying. "She's in the prep suite," Maya said. "She's asking for you specifically." He handed his tablet to the technical director and followed Maya to the 3rd floor. The suite was quiet when he knocked and entered. Vivian was standing at the full-length mirror in a champagne-colored gown that was architectural in its elegance, structured and precise the way she was, the kind of dress that understood what it was for. Her hair was arranged perfectly. Her makeup was complete. The back of the gown was open, the zipper pulled down from the top, waiting. She was holding her phone. Ethan saw the phone and the way she was holding it, both hands, not reading it, just holding it the way people hold things when the information inside has already been received and now the phone is just an object, and he understood before she said anything. She looked up at his reflection in the mirror. "He's not coming," she said. The same voice she used for everything. Level, direct, no performance. But underneath it, in the specific frequency that 4 years of working closely with someone teaches you to hear, something that was doing a great deal of work to stay where it was. Ethan said nothing immediately. He crossed the room and stood behind her and took the zipper and drew it up to the top with the careful, practical hands of someone addressing the solvable thing first, because the zipper was solvable and he was very good at solving what could be solved. He stepped back. She looked at herself in the mirror. He looked at her reflection. "Work emergency," she said. "Which may be true, and may not be. And I find, standing here, that I'm not certain which one would bother me more." She set the phone on the vanity table beside the mirror with the deliberate placement of someone putting something down that they are deciding not to carry further tonight. 6 months. I told my sister. I told her. A brief pause. I don't tell my sister things lightly. I know, Ethan said. The table card still says Griffin and Vivian, she said. I'll have it changed before guests arrive, he said. She looked at his reflection. You'll have it say what? Just Vivian, he said. It's your company. It's always been just Vivian. Something moved across her face. A small, involuntary thing, there and gone, the kind that appears when someone says the true thing before you had time to prepare for it. Ethan. She said his name with a quality that was not his boss saying his name. It was a person saying the name of another person they trusted at a moment when trust was the resource they needed most. How are you this steady? You do everything alone. You run No's entire world single-handedly. You manage this operation like it's an extension of your nervous system. How do you not crack? He thought about No's weather notebook on the nightstand. He thought about the morning 2 years ago when Noah had woken up crying from a dream about his mother and Ethan had sat on the edge of the bed until 4 in the morning and they had talked about weather systems of all things, about how a storm was just the atmosphere working something out and that after a storm the air was always cleaner. He had not planned that conversation. It had arrived the way the right things arrived, when you were present enough to receive them. I crack, he said. I just do it in the car before I come inside so Noah doesn't carry it. He looked at her reflection steadily. You're allowed to crack, but not until after 8 o'clock, because you built something that 300 people are coming to see tonight and it is genuinely excellent and it deserves you at full strength. Vivian Sterling looked at herself in the mirror for a long moment. At the champagne gown and the composed face and the 6 years of company building reflected back at her in the elegant details of a room she had reserved and a night she had planned in a life that had just shifted without her consent. Then she did something Ethan had seen her do before, the same thing he had watched her do before: difficult client calls and complex negotiations and the moments when the evening's machinery had threatened to fail and she had decided it wouldn't. She gathered herself, not performed gathering, the real kind, the kind that comes from a person who has located something inside themselves that holds when the external things don't. She straightened. She looked at the gown and adjusted one detail at the neckline, one precise adjustment, the last thing into place. The Kessler Group table, she said. Back to Vivian Sterling, CEO, with the completeness of someone who knew exactly who they were. Are they on the East Terrace as requested? Confirmed and marked, Ethan said, picking up his radio from the vanity table. The champagne service timing, 8:45, before the remarks. I moved it up 10 minutes based on the arrival rate we're projecting. She looked at him in the mirror. You moved it without telling me. I logged it. You had the Harmon call at 4 and the decision was time sensitive. And the floral on the entrance arch. Replaced at 3 this afternoon. The delivery had 2 arrangements that didn't meet the color specification. I had the florist bring alternates. She studied him in the mirror. The look of someone who has been taking accurate measurements for 4 years and keeps arriving at the same number. What would this company look like without you? Adequately managed, he said. But the florals would occasionally be wrong. The almost laugh came, genuine and unguarded and entirely hers, and it transformed the room briefly into something warmer and less formal, and Ethan received it without comment and without making it into anything it didn't need to be. She turned from the mirror and picked up her clutch and looked at the door and then, pausing, looked back at him without the professional layer, in the plain and unmediated register of one person genuinely seeing another. Thank you, she said. For the zipper and everything after it. The zipper was the easy part, he said. You keep saying that like it's minor, she said. It isn't. She meant the zipper and did not mean the zipper, and they both understood this without requiring it to be said more plainly. They walked down the corridor together toward the sound of the gala assembling itself, the distant orchestral warm-up, the murmur of early arrivals, the particular charged energy of an evening that was about to become what it had been built to be. Vivian Sterling entered the room the way she always entered rooms. As if she had arrived at exactly the moment she intended to arrive, which was the moment the room had been waiting for. Ethan took his position on the production floor and put his earpiece in and began running the evening that he had spent 7 months building, and it went the way things go when someone who is very good at their job has prepared very thoroughly, with the contained, purposeful elegance of a machine that was built right and is now running at the capacity it was built for. At 10:15 he stepped outside the Alderton Grand for 4 minutes of quiet and called Noah, who was still awake and who told him at considerable length about a cold front developing over the Gulf of Mexico that had some genuinely interesting characteristics. Ethan stood outside the hotel in the Houston night and listened to his 9-year-old explain atmospheric pressure with the focused enthusiasm of someone who had found the thing they were for, and felt the particular, unhurried fullness of a life that was not simple and was not easy and was, in every way that he had learned to count, exactly enough. He went back inside. The evening still had 2 hours in it, and it needed him, and he was there.